And that means we are here. We are live. It is our Tackle Trading Daily Halftime Report where we analyze the markets. We have some fun. Got the coaches from Tackle Trading, including myself. We got Tim, we got Emily, we got Cody, and we've got Coach Gino, the talent here today on a Theta Thursday, Cash Flow Thursday. Theta positive right now, Gino, in this environment has been a good way to play it. We'll break down a few different strategies with you. First off, Gino, what is your read on the market right now?
Well, we're waiting for the unemployment report tomorrow, and we had a great breakdown on the lounge this morning when we broke it down tooth and nail. We got a swing low in the market. That means we put in a lower pivot, a higher low and a higher high, but it's selling off right now. So it's a bad trigger. It's a bad trigger. So if you got triggered in, I want to see how this market closes. So that's why we call it the halftime report. I want to see how we go through the rest of the day, how we're going to fare, if that's the word, into the rest of the day. Yeah. I'm still bullish, and we'll see there. See the intraday chart you got there in the 15-minute. It came down, and look how it hit your moving average right to the T.
Seriously, right to that 200. Just ding.
Yeah, market open, obviously. We had it down here about the 3110 mark. It feels like a doji on the daily chart. Cody, I love what you're doing there. Why don't you slow down for just a second, come back to the daily, kind of look at the candlestick on the daily and talk about what you're reading on that intraday, because I think there's a lot of value right there.
Yep.
Well, I just kind of did it quickly as the thoughts are coming through my brain. So I was probably going a little bit fast. But yeah, as immediately when I see this and what Gino was talking about is that we came down. We had the update yesterday, didn't quite get above yesterday's candle. And then as Gino said, it's selling off today. That's where I see this small doji that's happening right at the 20 there. And so my immediate thought is, okay, what happened intraday? Because intraday it could have been, a sharp jump up and then back down, or what was going on. So when I had that thought, that's when I immediately said, okay, if I want to see what the intraday looks like, this I just go right in. There it is. And I can say, okay, here at the open, we could see that it dropped down and now it's just holding. So we can see that candle, you had the high, the low, and the body where it's currently sitting right now. And that makes sense when you go intraday, what it looks like based on the daily candle outside here. So you can see where that candle gets its wicks and its body based on that. And now with the intraday, looking at it like that, if it doesn't do anything or break one way or the other, I'm not really necessarily concerned. But if it did break this body that it's got going either direction, that's when I want to see which way it goes. And that kind of gives me more perspective on the market. If it doesn't, then this is just a very boring day, which it kind of is, even from a news standpoint. It's a boring day in the market.
Well, I hope almost all of my trading days are boring because of the way I trade. I don't like the excitement. I want to run it like a business. Boring usually means that things are going well for me, Gino, with a theta positive trader, volatility trader, all that kind of stuff. This intraday price action about this time of day, Gino, it's 9:30 on the West Coast. You're a California kid out there in Redondo Beach. When you see this kind of hesitation middle of the morning, you said that you're waiting for the market close. I mean, if the market broke below support, would you do something different? If the market started to rally, do you have like trades that you're waiting on? Give us some insight on what you're talking about on that.
Yeah. So basically when you get a swing low and you come out of it like we are now, we triggered above yesterday's candle. Yesterday was the setup candle. The setup candle, meaning this is the candle that found support. And it's actually 2 days ago. So you want to get in right above yesterday's candle. And that's what happened this morning. Market open, triggered us in on a lot of bullish positions. So if you were trading the markets, your entry signal was this morning, like Cody said, and not a great trigger because it's not up there at the highs of the day. It's still down here and it's doing a doji, which tells us indecision. It's trying to figure out which way to go. Now we're still in a bullish trend. Our theme this week, Tim was, and Emily was there, was a bull pullback. A bull pullback is when you're in a bullish trend and the market's pulling back into that setup point where you get ready to load up again. So we pulled back. You can see from the highs of 31.58. What is a bull pullback? Here it is. When do you know the bull pullback is done? And when do you know that it's just a pullback and you're still bullish versus turning bearish? So what you ask yourself is this: okay, it's bullish trend and it's pulling back to what? What is it pulling pulling back to. Which support is it? Is it a moving average? Is it a previous breakout point? What is it? So if you look on your chart, 3 candles ago, it pulled back to a support line there. I don't know what it was, but there was support there. On mine, it was a 20-day moving average, what have you. And now that it's on support, you call it a setup. It's setting up to go back up. It's setting up to go back up from its pullback. And where would you get in at? Right above that indecision candle, which was the last 2 days. And not a great trigger is all I'm saying, Tim. So we triggered this morning. A lot of day traders probably got in and they got up. Now we're getting stopped out. Cody and I went through about 40 stocks today on the lounge from our picks over the weekend. A lot of whipsaws on triggers. It's a whipsaw week. And that's usually anonymous with a news week like FOMC or unemployment like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you
that
say anonymous? Did you mean synonymous?
Anonymous.
You said it's anonymous with. It's like, wait.
Hippopotamus,
So it's
it's
unknown?
all the same.
Yeah. Literally, basically, what's the difference? You know? So tissy fit, conniption fit, what's the difference? You know? So
this is why they call him the talent, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, literally just a wordsmith right now. I love it. Anonymous, synonymous, and all there, and hippopotamus. There definitely is a difference. But you know what is the same, Gino? You and I both see this pullback the same. The depth of it, where is it coming into? There's no doubt about it. I mean, we have 3 red candles. That's great. You could draw a Fibonacci retracement level there and try to talk yourself into believing there's a technical catalyst, but you don't really have a catalyst.
No,
to come back into old resistance or the 50-period moving average, something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, but Tim, he did the right thing. Cody went into the 15-minute and he said, let's see what's going on in the internals. And he broke it down to where, okay, what's going on intraday here? Where's the pivots at? Who's winning? And it gave him a lot of information. You got moving averages there. You got a nice channel line. You're finding support. You found that pullback point.
Mm-hmm.
So now the question is, and I'll let Cody answer this. Where are you going to say, okay, we're back to bullish?
Right here, above this line, above the high, 131.25. That's, and I want to close there too, because even when it tried to get up there, I want to close up here. That's when we're going bullish again, and then I'll back out to a daily chart. When we get that close above there, you can only imagine that that's going to be a candle that's going to be sitting right like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's showing that it's starting to move back to the upside on that bullish retracement.
But even there, I mean, you have a continuation of the current trend, and I wouldn't change my rating. You know, on Fridays, we always do our review of the overall market for our newsletter. We have all the coaches come together internally, and we have that scouting report meeting, which has become, you know, one of my favorite things we do every week. Guys, where are you going to rank this thing? I mean, if it closed out here, and I know we got a lot of trading between now and tomorrow afternoon, Gino, because you got a jobs report in the morning, you got other stuff that can happen. But if you had the same kind of conditions as you're in right now, don't you got to downgrade this market a little bit? I mean, even though the news, I didn't really think that there was a reason why the news had to have that big red candle on Friday and Monday. But here we are, boom, boom, boom. You had those 3 red candles on higher volume, Gino. That's a red flag for me. I would maintain bullish, but I would be a little bit more moderately bullish and kind of bring it back a little bit. What about you?
Remind me where the ranking was.
I think we were about the 15 or the 20. I'll have to double check. Give me.
And I would definitely pull it back from the 15 or 20. I would definitely pull it back from there. Yeah, if we had it ranked on like the 25 or 30, I think I would maintain.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta see where we close today before I make a ranking, and we open tomorrow after the numbers.
We had the S&P on the 15-yard line, which is a +2 rating. Those of you who are distribution curve kind of people, it's a mathematical rating, so it's a very bullish rating before this week, guys.
Very bullish. I mean, and what happens, Tim, is when you get very bullish market like this, you get sell-offs that are big because people want to lock in profit.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for it. I'm not really going to do a lot today, quite frankly. I've got my accounts where I want them. I added some positions. There are some earnings plays we're going to go through. Cody, give me a flash fire through all the different indexes: Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, and then the Russell.
All right. Dow looks about the same. Dow has more of, actually kind of looks more like a top, but no, about the same. Below that 20. With the Dow, I actually think the trigger is a little bit easier because you can easily look for the trigger to happen above the 20-period moving average to then call this one bullish again. The NASDAQ about the same thing, except for I still wanted above those candles there. And it's kind of actually, maybe even these candles could come into part on that one just because of the way that one looks. Very tech heavy. So if it moves, it can move very quickly. And then ending with the Russell, you know, we saw it have that breakout, and with the breakout, small candle, long wick, this thing's looking more like a breakout retracement, which is a very good pattern. As this was happening, I've hedged my my cash flow condors on the rut, and I've actually put another one on when it was up here. I put one on, and when it came back down 3 days, I put the put side on. So
I got to tell you, out of all the charts I've had you,
I like this one the best.
That's the best one. Small cap stocks, that pullback, that pivot, that candlestick. In fact, if I'm up there and I'm on bear call spread, say at 1650, I'm probably considering a hedge here. You know, it depends on the nature of the delta, where those expirations would be. Gino, if you had bear calls as a part of the iron condor out in January, say at 1700, 1720, though, would you hedge on this when you still got 100 points cushion?
Oh, you know, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with hedging. Nothing wrong with putting a little bit in there. But depends if you're profitable, how profitable you are. And me, honestly, again, I wouldn't worry until it breaks above 1636.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's going to be the trigger point that says, yeah, we're definitely strong bullish again.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen between now and the weekend.
Yeah, that resistance point. I mean, we do have the jobs report tomorrow, Gino, and over the course of a 15-year career, you've been trading 20, 25 years, but even in 15 years of my experience, the jobs report can be a market mover. Now, it's not been that way the last couple of years because the unemployment rate's just down in the toilet. You know, it's at 3.6%, one of the strongest jobs markets in that regard in 50 years. So do you expect anything tomorrow with that jobs report? Do you approach that with any kind of special consideration, or is it just another data point?
You know, it's another, I mean, depending on your strategies, if I have small profit showing, sometimes I'll thin out my positions and just take it because you're going to get some volatility tomorrow. You might get some whipsawing. It's been a whipsaw week already. You know, it's all about what's your personal situation. I don't see the number, even if it is worse than it was last month, still a good number. You know, like you said, we're, and honestly,
yeah.
I think a lot of people are focused on the record high numbers from Cyber Week. I mean, you know what's interesting? I just got to throw this out there. What was the number on sales for Cyber Monday? It was like 19 billion or something like that, or whatever it was. Check this out, Tim. Almost 30% of those sales were done from a smartphone.
That's amazing. Well, I do know that the numbers were up 20% year over year for both Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And when you add it all up, it was a very, very strong showing for the retail sector.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. A lot of small companies, you know, here in the Russell 2000 are going to benefit from those strong sales numbers heading into Christmas. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the market today. We've got a doji though. Let's keep breaking down different charts here. Cody, give me the dollar, if you will. A continued bearishness in the dollar here today, guys. 0.28% down on the index. I saw the yen was up. You know, the yen in Japan, they announced a new stimulus program out of Prime Minister Abe. And, you know, just more par for the course in this current modern monetary nightmare we live in, where they're just willing to throw money into any economy. The dollar's not doing well on this news here in the currency markets. Guys, we're below the 200. Now, it has gotten below the 200 a couple of times in the last 4 or 5 months, you know, but you can't like that chart if you're a dollar bull.
Right.
Cody?
Make sure I take myself off mute there. No, yeah, if you're a dollar bull, this is definitely giving you pause. Same way that here, and here again. If every time it breaks that 200, you got to take pause, because if it does roll over, then it rolls over. And just to let everyone know what Tim's talking about with Japan is they basically said they're going to be putting more money. They're going to be pumping out more money. They're going to be doing more QE, or however they want to call it, with their modern monetary theory. And that basically is going to flood the market with more Japanese yen. That does add weakness to other currencies, and you're seeing it. You're seeing the dollar. So yesterday I was talking about how we were seeing money flow out of those currencies into the US dollar, and Japan said, hold my beer.
Yeah, well, I mean, Prime Minister Abe is willing to print a lot of currency. You would think more supply would hurt the currency, but it's just a weird world we live in. I'll tell you, maybe the strongest currency out there among the majors is the pound. I saw Boris Johnson came out and very, very strongly continued his position about how they want to move forward on this Brexit situation. I know Brexit has
Don't
been a
you love it when lines that you predict pan out?
yeah, but
Look
what
at
about
that.
the ones you gotta delete? So,
Yeah, that's true. But no,
uh,
this is in the Forex report. So guys, if anyone watched my Forex report this past weekend and you took this trade, I said, look, this is a big bear bull flag type pattern happening. Look for the trigger above here. Look for it to run up to $1.32.
yeah,
Watch the
no.
Forex report, guys.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And by the way, this was a very, very good signal trigger setup, and the momentum is carried there. You'd be moving towards your target here at about 1.32. The pound has been very strong. Other currencies that are looking pretty good. The New Zealand dollar is looking pretty good. And that dollar, whenever the US dollar is weak, I mean, other currencies are going to rally here. Kind of put some questions into the currency markets, in my opinion. But maybe the bigger question, and as we go through these different markets, is crude oil. Bring up CL, if you will. I saw a report out of OPEC that they were meeting in Vienna today, and they're talking about more production cuts. Now, Cody, I heard you and Gino talking pre-production, and I want to kind of bring our audience in like a fly on the wall here and kind of listen in on that kind of thinking. Cody, you had bull puts on this spread, right?
Yep.
On crude oil.
Yep.
And you've added the bear call. Now, I would not do that as a cash flow trader here because I'm concerned about the upside. Gino, do you think crude oil has a rally in it, or are you just flat neutral here?
Well, the energy sector has been our weakest sector. So it all is based on oil, but there's so much congestion at 62 and below. And we had a nice gap up back on, was it September, early September, up to 62 and sold off. Talking to our boys in Oklahoma for TM squared, Tim.
Those boys were something.
Yeah, they said we're going to have a hard time breaking the 66 level. And so, they're the oil guys. They're the oil scouts, the drillers. A lot of congestion up there. And seasonality wise, I think we're going to be in this range. A high of 64 would be impressive if we break out. And that's about it, And where are you at, Cody, on your bear calls?
So yeah, to bring context into it is what I did is I'm gonna throw these probability cones on here because I absolutely love them. So back here I was selling my bull put spreads. That way, rather than just selling naked puts and having too much risk, selling those verticals down here. And as it's run up, and I have 12 days left in this contract. So what I did is, so this is a 68% probability cone, is this purple one. Mm-hmm. And this is a 90% probability cone, meaning that there's a 90% chance that this is going to finish in this range. In the next 12 days, I basically said that there's no way that I think that, and I think the delta on this that I sold was like a 4 delta, that it ever closes up above outside this probability cone. So I took my spreads I had down here, and I added a spread at 66 and 67 to the upside, and I basically made my my vertical into a condor. So I opened it up. I have 2 wings now on crude because in the next 2 weeks, I do believe it's going to remain neutral. And that's like Gino was just saying, all this congestion up here, I think is going to keep it from getting up to that 66 mark.
Sure. No, I get it. And it's something I've done many, many times over the years, especially even on these kind of products. Adding a bear call to your current bull put neutralizes the spread, doesn't usually require an extra margin. It can, depending on how you got it set up and what product you're using specifically and where that delta is. But you just pick up another credit. So it does give you the opportunity to make more cash flow. And if you're out there in your team tackle on a Thursday, you know that we always talk about cash flow, and just pop in the chat, just type in cash flow. That's the mindset here in the strategy that Cody's talking about. For me though, Cody, I got to tell you, I would pass. I would not add this side of the spread on this one personally. Gino, what do you think of Cody's trade here?
Oh, it's his money. I'm good with it.
Hey, pre-production, he said, good job, Cody. I'm just throwing that out there.
But also with what we were talking about, Tim, is, is the crude light on Thinkorswim is a platform you're trading from right now, right, Cody?
Yep.
here's the thing. They added weeklies. So the weeklies did come alive now. Some brokers already had it, but now you can trade weeklies, which means I'm fine with Cody doing that, Tim, because he knows his plan B. If it hits his alert, he's either going to close it or he can roll it out a week and be in a better position. It's easy to roll when you have weeklies. You can roll it out a week versus a month. I never used to like crude light for that reason, where I did not like to have to roll my position out because it added 30 days to it. And it's harder to roll futures. Sometimes you have to leg in.
My delta is 266.
Oh,
11 days out. My delta is 2.
Yeah.
There you go. You get it pretty
I get it, man. I get it. And it should come in. I mean, you got a high probability pop trade here. There's no question.
Yep. So, he watches it every day. It is a future, so it's open 24 hours. So if an alert goes off, he's on it. Not like USO where you have to wait till the market opens. So knowing Cody, I'm fine with it. If you're a beginner.
I would never recommend a beginner do this.
Yeah, if you're a beginner, even to futures, I would say no. But Cody's probably 1,000 trades deep in condors and crude light. And he's from Texas, Tim. He loves oil. Okay? He's from Texas. Show him your belt buckle, Cody.
Oh, goodness. I got to
I got to pull him out of the closet.
You know what's funny is you ever hear Cody put on his accent and go ahead and say that Hawaiian fish for us, Cody. What is it?
Huma huma nuka nuka apuya.
Oh my God.
I don't think that's right. By the way, my daughters would nail it syllable. I bet they could spell it too. My daughters, they are obsessed.
Oh, it's easy to spell.
Yeah, it's called triggerfish.
It's the triggerfish. That's the actual. That's the name of it. Is the triggerfish.
Oh, the state fish of Hawaii. We'll have to get a picture on that later in the show. Keep working through the markets. So here, guys, I love the analysis on crude oil. And by the way, not only it doesn't matter if you're from Texas or Oklahoma, everybody should love oil as a trader because it's one of the biggest, most liquid products in the world. I always say this to new traders: you want to dance where the music's on, Gino. Liquidity, action, volatility. Is that what you've been doing? You've been dancing out there when no music's on and the cops keep
dancing to my own tune, Tim.
I gotcha. Natural gas is up just a hair today. I guess we did get the heat on here in Utah, and yet still not a very different pattern. Gino, we got a nice trend line developing in both directions. In fact, Cody, draw me a trend line on the downside on the short-term correction here. Gino, whenever you get into triangles like this, where there's a fight between short-term traders and intermediate term traders, how do you approach a situation like this?
Oh, why'd you have to bring up natural gas? I was looking at this. It's frustrating. And real quick, back to dancing, Tim. I don't have to dance. I make money move. That's what Cardi B says. Okay, Cardi B. So what you got here is,
ladies and gentlemen,
Emily's just dying.
That was the least probable thing that I thought we would have said on the show here today, is to have Gino do a Cardi B reference.
Funny thing is, that's not the first time he's made it. I've heard him say that before.
What's funny, Emily, is when you got a teenage young daughter singing those lyrics.
I hear you.
Watch it, and you're like, they have no clue what they're talking about. They're just, you know what I mean? Tim's got the same situation.
Oh, right? But that's funny you bring that up. Randomly, my daughter Aubrey, she's 19. She can't stand Cardi B. She thinks she's so overrated and all that kind of stuff. So I was just kind of listening. When we were down there in Texas, Gino, we had the opportunity of having about 6 of her little army buddies that she's in the service with over for dinner, and it was a really wonderful thing. And just listen to those 19-year-old kids talk. It's amazing. It reminds me of how old I am, which is why I'm moving on from the Cardi B reference, because I got nothing else to add to this at all. But natural gas
you pick
here.
Cardi B out of a lineup. If we lined up 10 women, could you be like, that one's Cardi B?
I've seen her. Yeah, I know who she is. Yes, I'm not that old. I do know who she is. Anyway, here on natural gas, Gino, same kind of analysis in some regards to crude oil, because to me, it's a cash flow instrument. I have bull puts on down here. I've been talking about them for about 2 or 3 months now. I've started to trade that bull put spread later in the year here, seasonal considerations. I like the chart, but I'm concerned if that breaks back down. In fact, some traders might look at that and say it's a bear flag. What's your read on that chart?
Well, here's the thing, Tim. I try to derail this and get your attention off this one, and now we're back on it. You're not going to leave it alone, are you?
No, I'm not.
So here we go. I don't know which way it's going, honestly. And Tim, from the experience, when natural gas decides to take a big leap, It's like a jack in the box. You remember the jack in the box where you crank it, and then bam, it jumps.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they call the widow maker of selling options. So you have to time natural gas. You do not want to be on the short call side of this. Look what that thing's done. It's taken people out.
Yeah.
And the range, and I mean, if you go to weekly and jump back, it's one of those things where, God, it's just boring. It's so boring because it's like a penny stock. Well, it is. It's $2 and some cents, right? But look at those moves. I mean, that thing literally has 20, 30% moves in a week. You got to be careful on credit spreads on this.
Yeah.
So even as a professional, even as somebody who does a lot of credit spreads, you have to position size to owning this thing or hedging it. Like, for example, if I do a credit spread, do you know how I hedge it? By owning it. So basically it's like a cover call, like you're doing a bear call spread. Same with Cody. How do you hedge your bear call on oil, Cody? Own a couple contracts.
Yep.
You know, that's the thing is you got to be careful. So Tim, on this one, I go wider than the cones if I have to, and do not go naked on the call side.
Oh, I don't believe in naked calls on natural gas. In fact, I don't do naked calls in futures at all, even crude oil.
That's smart.
You know, to me, I just think there's too much, you know, black swan risk and
was
things
lost
that
in
can
that?
happen.
How much was lost in that hedge fund?
300 million.
$300 million was lost in the hedge fund last year because of that jump that I just highlighted, this one, because he was doing naked calls.
Yeah.
So not only did he lose his money, he lost every investor's money.
You know, one of the lessons I think from that, Cody, which most people don't point out, this guy's a 25-year veteran with a long track record of winning. So it doesn't just happen to beginners. You know, this isn't some beginner who's in the market for 4 years, new hedge fund manager. This guy had been trading for over 2 decades.
And it could take you out.
Yeah.
You know, that's shame on him. I mean, it's like, it probably worked out 1,000,000 times for him. And then one time it didn't, done.
Yeah. The widowmaker. I like it, which is why you spread it. There's no doubt about it. Moving on to the metals market, quick peek at gold here. We've talked about it. Gino, I love gold above 1,500 an ounce. In fact, I've got some triggers set up for that. If this does break back above that, I'm seeing a flag on the weekly chart. And this is just an asset I watch every day. I trade it a lot. I have a lot of different ways I approach it. But what about that 1,500 trigger? Are you seeing it? Do you agree with that? What's your read on this chart?
Oh, man, I'll tell you. I'm trading this different products too. I think it could break 1,500, but we got a strong resistance at 15 and a half. Is that a big enough risk reward to take the trade? Possibly. You know, me personally, Tim, my read on gold versus the market, it's really hard. You know, because I always look at gold as a hedge or an investment if you're long-term. Here's the thing. This year, every product is profitable. Did you know that? Bonds, stock market, most commodities, everything is profitable this year. So it's kind of like, what do you use for a hedge?
Not pot stocks. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Not every product. I mean, not all the IPO companies. Lyft and Uber, I think, are down for the year.
I mean, the
actually,
stock
as well.
market in general, equity market in general, the stock market in general, the bond market.
Bitcoin's up on the year, kid. Don't try to get your shot in and be inaccurate with the data here. All right. Anyway,
Bitcoin's not profitable.
Hey, the year ain't over yet.
That's true. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I like gold here. I actually am interested in this from a weekly chart perspective. I'm not going to rush on that. And I don't think it's going to happen today or tomorrow. I'm looking at some point in the next month though here, Gino. And, you know, obviously gold can be in one of these deeper retracements for months. I mean, we don't know that this is where it's going to hold, but just that flag on the weekly, I'm considering something above that 1,500. In fact, I got some triggers set up to add to some positions on that, but we'll wait and see for confirmation there. Other metals, palladium is up again, just a very, very small hair, not much else to see there. But you did mention cryptocurrency, and I want to get Gino's take on this.
Hey, we're still up. Go look at Bitcoin. We're still up. What is it for the year?
Bitcoin year to date.
100%.
Yeah, Cody. YTD. No, Bitcoin USD. It's up 99.65% year to date there, Gino and Cody. Absolutely. Now it's been in a downtrend here for about 6 months. That's a bear flag. It's got some very, very real risk on that chart.
If you ignore this trigger, wait, that's the circle I'm drawing. yeah, if you ignore that, that's a nice flag to let it go.
Well, here's the thing. Usually, Tim, here's the thing. Usually from cross-market analysis, there's usually a market that money's going into and markets coming out of. For example, it's coming out of bonds, going in the stock market, coming out of real estate, going to stock. But when you have most markets going up, what is it coming out of is what scares me, is where's this money coming from? It's got to come out of somewhere. Is it just cash on the sidelines coming into everything?
I think markets are moving into risk on assets in the US, and the stock market has had an incredible year. And so you're seeing stocks running, you're seeing everything else running. So Bitcoin is kind of just faded into the distance. Now, I still see long-term potential here. Every single person on this show in the last month has been telling me I'm crazy, but I continue to hold some Bitcoin down here, Gino, because I've held it since 2013 or 14. Are you a long-term believer in the crypto market still? I mean, I know there's been a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of action.
The stuff.
That's the thing is I mine it because it's free. That you can't get a better price than that. You know, that's my cost average, free, my electric bill. So that you know, that's the best way to go is this. What's your risk reward? My electricity bill is based on my risk. And Tim, I have no problem spending it online. When I make it, I like to go spend it. There's so many places you could spend it on. Bringing that up, Tim, have you guys ever used Coinstar at the grocery stores?
I've seen it, never used it. Nuh-uh.
What a great product. I mean, you have a bunch of change laying around, right? So, and this is fun for your kids, have them save their change. When you go in there, you dump the bucket of change in this big green machine called a Coinstar. It counts your change for you. It actually spit out my pesos that I didn't know I had, and a couple other tokens from Chuck E. Cheese I didn't know I had in there, right? And then check out Tim. It gives you a choice of how you want your money. It'll print you a voucher, but it keeps 11.5%. Or let me ask you guys what you'd do. A voucher and it keeps 11.5% of your money. Or you can get a gift card from some major retailers and they don't charge you nothing. Or you can go straight to Bitcoin. Which one would you do?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around why you kept the Chuck E. Cheese coins, leaving the Chuck E. Cheese location. Why not just leave them on the table there, Gino? I get it.
Because you're always going to go back.
Oh, Chuck E. Cheese. I haven't been to one of those locations in so long.
Chuck E. Cheese, a casino for kids.
But
but what would you do? Would you pick 11% on your money? Because you're down right away, right? If you go into cash, you're down 11.5%. Or would you take a gift card from a major retailer, which is forcing you to shop at a retailer that hopefully you like? Or would you put in Bitcoin?
I'm open to that. I actually like converting it to Bitcoin. I mean, to me, that's what I would choose. But
I was amazed that it gave you that option.
Yeah.
And think about this. With no fees, you're like, you know what? I didn't care about my change anyway. It was laying around my dashboard of my car or my floor or my drawer. You're like, yeah. What was funny, Tim, is this. It wouldn't accept pesos, but it will let you trade Bitcoin.
That is interesting. And by the way, there's a couple of comments coming in here. I actually still think Bitcoin has a lot of interest out there. If you're interested in Bitcoin, just type in crypto in the chat. Cryptocurrency is what we're talking about here. The reason I always look at Bitcoin is because it's the one people know, number one. It's the other one. It's what prices a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. I mean, when you're cross trading crypto, you're probably going to have Bitcoin against Ethereum or Bitcoin against something else, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's the big one. It's the one that gets noticed. There's no doubt about it. And I'm still interested in it. I like that product, you know, Coinstar, no question. That's kind of cool. You know, come and pop in all of those coins and get out some Bitcoin or a gift card. I would probably take the Bitcoin myself. Let's move on here. Let's keep talking about some stocks. Actually, let's get into some of the companies I want to, you know, analyze here today. Dollar General earnings, DG.
I almost put in Dollar Tree.
Yeah, I like this company. I do not like that chart. That is a head and shoulders pattern.
That's a major breakdown pattern.
Sitting on 150. I mean, you've got complexity here because in the short term, Gino, that's not a good look. You got a lower pivot low, lower pivot high. You now are down on earnings. Not a lot going on there. But if you broke support, probably going to take another leg down. That being said,
because they didn't have any good Black Friday sales.
Well, that's right. You know,
what are they going to say? Everything's 50 cents.
Dollar General got some blockbuster door opening, you know.
Dude,
Battery, 50 cents.
I told the story earlier in the week, but I just took that long road trip to Texas. I keep talking about it because it just happened. But every little tiny town I went into had a dollar store. Now I'm going to ask you guys what you think it was. Do you think it was a Dollar General or another dollar store?
I think it was Dollar Tree.
Family Dollar is actually the one that I saw in 95% of those towns.
I never seen that in my city.
Yeah, it might just be a Midwest thing, might be a Mountain West thing. I'm not sure, but every town, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, I saw more Family Dollars than any other dollar store. So it makes me wonder inside this space, where's the competition? You know, Dollar General did not beat their earnings, got some weakness here on the chart. Ulta, ULTA, a makeup company, you know, a very, very popular one, had their earnings as well. And in this kind of situation, you actually have now a bear setup, Gino, where you had that bear retracement. Now your post earnings, or is this one AMC?
No, it's after the bell today.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it really?
Yeah. So this
It
one
got beat up last time though. Look,
It's a
this
gap.
giant.
it's a huge mover on earnings. It could be a volatility play. Cody, let's analyze that one in the morning, see where that gap takes it as well. DocuSign. I really like this company from a longer term perspective. I was interested when they IPO'd. They've
What is
got
it,
earnings.
DocuSign?
DOCU. Highlight that earnings. Another
Same
one,
thing.
AMC here today. Pay attention to this company on the move post earnings for tomorrow. Lot of stocks, guys, that are moving. We talked about AMC here, Cody, in a downtrend.
Oh, I like that chart.
Okay.
I like that chart.
Yesterday we analyzed Slack, WORK.
Oh, how'd that go?
Work.
We had a long conversation about this one. Actually, it came out and had a really good earnings report in some ways. Markets are up on this one about 2.5%. Gino, if this breaks above 24, you've got reversal signals all over the place on this. Do you ever go bottom fishing on these kind of companies?
Yes, I will bottom fish on companies like that. Here's the thing, Tim. Earnings are negative, but you got to look at the revenue growth on companies like this, them and Zoom and a couple of other new flyers. But yes, they aren't investments until I see profit. But if I see good profit on companies like really strong fundamentals, dividend payers, tackle 25 type companies, I will buy them as investments and cost average them. That's why I like commodities. They don't go bankrupt. But this kind of company, you got to go, okay, look deep into the fundamentals and don't make it an investment, because you see that negative down there, the negative 2 cents of earnings, they're not profitable yet.
No, it is a debt-driven company that does have a path to profitability. We use Slack every day, you know, internally with Tackle Trading. It's the way that we communicate in our chat messages. And then we use Zoom as well. We were talking about both of them. I really like the chart here from just a speculation kind of dirt cheap kind of company. Emily, what about you?
No, it's a no for me. I'm not interested in it.
Yeah. So is there a reason, young lady? Just don't like stocks on the bottom? Don't play reversals? Like
no, I don't bottom fish.
Yeah.
I don't like them there.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'll wait for it to break out.
Some traders instinctively look at a chart that's been in a downtrend. They look at the pivot relationships, because you did find support in October at 20, support in November at 20. Now we're post earnings. I don't think it's a signal yet, but if it does break above 24, I do think there's something there, Gino, for me. You know, that's got a clear resistance right there. I would be interested. Petro Brazil, one of the leaders in the market here today, PBR, and Brazilian companies. This is the big one, obviously, had a real good candlestick on that trend line, kind of backing, up in that regard. Gino, do you ever play this stock, PBR?
I have not played PBR in a long time. I like to trigger above 17, actually. But yeah, that's covered call candidate. Like I was talking to Cody earlier, as far as option trading, I only trade stocks above 35 because I do more of a swing or a spread type thing. Because anything below 35, I got to do too many contracts with my count size. So I'll do more of a stock trade on this, and nothing wrong with doing a stock trade and turning it into a covered call. You know, again, could be an investment type thing. And also you've got this risk whenever you see that ADR, not only of the valuation of the company, that could be fine, but the difference between the currencies. So that's built into the stock price on the ADR. Because when you buy that company, your money's turning into their currency and buying the stock. And then when you take it out, so it could be a difference in the currency that wipes you out on this and doesn't help. So you got to know, like Cody knows Forex. He knows, the currency that he's investing in. Is that on an uptrend versus the US dollar? Is that so basics like this, Tim? Let's say I wanted to be in the Forex market. Would I want that country's currency? If it's in an uptrend and the stock's an uptrend, good deal. You got to look at both factors.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's a really good tip on that ADR. By the way, Cody, it's up in the name of the company, whatever you're reading, the full name, Petrol, Brazil, and then there's an ADR somewhere right over there. That's right. And so when you do see that, just be aware there's extra complexity in any trade that you take on it. Real good pro tip right there. A couple other companies.
PBR, this isn't the first thing that comes to mind when I hear PBR.
Yeah, no, the old, well, you're a Texan and you're a beer drinker, so cheap PBR beer, and you're a hipster. Young kids, they like those
not
PBRs.
A hipster. That's an insult, sir. You can be a hipster.
Yeah, I absolutely could be, but I'm not. I'm too old to be a hipster. There's no doubt about it. Other companies that are grabbing my attention here today, Apple Computer was upgraded on their price target, not on their ranking, but Citigroup, their analyst came out and said $300 is where we're targeting. Gino, this has been a juggernaut performer heading into a new year. If you were a long-term investor in Apple, would you stay the course? Would you lock in some profit? What's your read here on one of the biggest companies in the world?
Well, it's holding the last pivot from 3 candles ago. And it could be a shakeout. If it breaks above 268, that'll be your proven shakeout thing there. I do like the price of the stock. For the year, it's done very well. You're up at 34 something percent. And as an investor, it pays a very tiny dividend. You're crazy not to put some kind of stop loss in here, even if it's on a weekly, because if you're up 34% on anything, and Tim, when are they going to put that iPhone 11 out for sale? They got all the other ones going. They need.
If they release a new iPhone, I just bought this one. So come on, Apple. I don't know. It's like the 10. It's got the cameras on it and all the whole fancy stuff. I don't even use it.
If we're going to do a come on Apple, they have so much cash. They need to up that dividend. Come on, Apple.
No, I'm okay with them paying that 1%. Companies that pay a lot of dividend, usually there's a reason why they do it. The more dividend you put in, it might be less demand to actually pick up this stock and hold it, Cody. In the bullish side of it, it can take some upside out of the stock price when you start paying a lot of dividend.
Yeah, still. Come on, Apple.
Yeah, it's not always what you want. Amazon.
That's what I want.
What if it had a stock split, Tim, and it split 3 for 1? $80, $85 range. Would you?
Well, that's an interesting one. This company, they've got enough cash to buy it back. So if you split it, they would probably even go into a more aggressive buyback situation.
Yes.
Let me look.
Love to see that.
That would be a very, very good sign for the stock in that regard. Gino, their shares outstanding year over year, they buy back shares all the time. It's that's what a lot of what they do with that cash. So Cody, instead of paying the dividend, they've got a buyback program, which has created upward mobility here.
But that doesn't help me out.
Oh, young man. All right.
It's all about Cody.
I'm being greedy here, Tim. Okay.
Sure. What's in it for me, right? Isn't that the old Wi-Fi radio station Robert Kiyosaki talked about in Rich Dad Poor Dad? More companies in the news, big ones. Nike had an upgrade from Goldman Sachs. And obviously a shoe company, apparel company heading into Christmas season. Gino, there's some interest here in many regards, but I wouldn't play a gap out right into resistance.
Earnings.
Give me a read here, Gino.
I love that weird W pattern it's forming. Are we too close to earnings? When is that date?
Mid-December. So you would have to
19th.
have a real quick hitter here.
Yeah. I don't know how hard it could break out before earnings. Usually people that are putting big money into it will wait. But we did the same pattern about a week or two before last earnings. Look at that back there. Same pattern. See it before the last earnings? Look at that. About to break out. It waited for earnings. I was thinking the same thing, seeing the same thing, cup and handle there. Will it in the breakout? But it kind of went up, not greatly. You got to be a quick trader. You got to be a quick trader on this if you're doing a swing trade. As far as investing, I don't know. Again, it's at the highs. It's at the highs. You do have a nice trigger above the highs.
Yeah, I would like that above the highs. It's been consolidating now for a couple of months. Heading into earnings might just be a wait until earnings, see how things shake out.
Yeah.
Amazon, two more I want to talk about from a stock perspective here, Cody. Amazon, actually, I saw a report in Bloomberg today, and this might be the theme for these big companies for the next several years, guys, especially through the political election next year. They're talking more about antitrust and how they might need to break these companies up. And Amazon was specifically targeted that they were, doing some antitrust probing and whatnot. Gino, do you think the big tech firms need to be looked at in that regard and have some regulation come in, or do you think they should be left alone?
I hate regulation and all these things and guidance and rules and stuff, but it does keep them on track. So there has to be some kind of oversight. There really does. But Amazon is such a rich company, Tim. I'm sure they're going to have some big lawyers on there and they're going to do things compliance wise. But real quickly, they just opened up their brand new first brick and mortar store in LA County. It's called 4-Star. It's an Amazon store, and it's going to sell all their products. Well, not all of them, but the products that have 4 stars or higher, and the ones that are trending now. I'm really interested in that because isn't this company the one that said, hey, let's make everything digital, and why have a brick and mortar? And now they're doing a brick and mortar.
Well, yeah, they had that one social media kind of post that they put out about a year ago where you could go shopping and then you could just kind of leave the store and it's automatically going to charge you. There's no even checkout. I think it was called Amazon Go.
Yeah.
They've also gone into so many acquisitions, Whole Foods, the whole thing. I mean, so this company, when you get this big, you got to do something with the money. And this company acquires a lot of different businesses. Pearl in the chat here, who's an old coach at Tackle Trading, been around our community, women in trading member as well, Emily, and one of our leaders. She says, Amazon kills small businesses. I was there. She used to work for Amazon, so has some insight there. It's interesting. I'm with you, Gino. I don't like regulation in general. I don't want government involved in capitalism in most regards. But when these companies get so big, you got to have some oversight. It's going to be interesting as we head into 2020 with all this politics, everything else going on in the world. And it's not just Amazon. It's Google, it's Microsoft, it's Apple. They're all going to have probes on them at some point, in my opinion. And the bigger question I got to ask, just from a price perspective, why is Amazon not having a great year? Everything else is having a great year. Amazon is not. Why is this stock lagging other tech leadership?
That blows me away too. I think they need a major stock split, maybe a 17-1 to bring it down in the 100 range.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Tim, for me, I don't like the options on it. They're hard to trade.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be there during the market, do limit orders only, fight for a good price. They're wide bid ask. It's very volatile. You got to have a big account to trade it, and you have to really know your options. So even the spreads on the options are kind of wide if you're doing verticals and debits. It's mostly a credit spread type option play for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so you got to be there during market hours on spreads, fight for a good price, and they're active. They're very active options though.
It's a flyer. There's no doubt about on those.
Just like Apple,
spreads.
I want to see a stock split.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, couple more, and then we're going to get into Relationship Thursday here, Cody, and we talk about that each and every Thursday. But a quick look at Schwab. Now, Robinhood's not publicly traded, but I saw a report online today, Gino. Schwab and Ameritrade after the merger, and this was the numbers I got. SCHW. We've been talking about this merger between the two brokers for so much time. Do you know how many accounts will be in those two brokers? Anybody want to take a guess?
I know the answer. You told me before.
24 million. Okay.
Oh, Gino popped out.
Robinhood announced today, which is that free, and we've targeted Robinhood. We've talked about them. We've had some negative comments about how they sell the data and all that kind of stuff. They have 10 million accounts, guys. They are resonating with a generation, I think, of millennials, Cody, guys your age, that are opening up a Robinhood account. Their marketing has been strong. They are doing a really good job. If and when that company does become a public company, it's going to be interesting to see how it competes with these big dogs like Schwab and Ameritrade. Now, they don't have the same assets under management, obviously. It's a different kind of client that they're going after. But Emily, they nearly have half the accounts, 40% of the accounts that Schwab and Ameritrade will have after the merger. Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible. I didn't even think that that Robinhood was that big. Those are numbers I would not have fathomed, but that's
Yep.
incredible.
Yep. Yeah, I think so as well. A lot of other stocks I want to look at, but we're going to get into our little exercise here. Cody, we do this every Thursday. Kind of set it up for our audience out there, if you will.
All right, so this is similar to our rapid fire, but on the flip side, this is a company that you're not looking for a quick trade. This is a company that you've either been in a relationship with, or you've been investing in long term, or maybe you're even thinking about getting into a long term investment with. So we're going to consider that a relationship. So this is just our relationship advice on if you have a company that you've been struggling with, maybe the company's treated you well, and then lately it's been just doing some things that you're not so sure about. Maybe it's been treating you badly for some time and you're just wondering if you need to leave that company. Well, this is the time, guys. Start putting those tickers in the chat, and we're going to run through and say, okay, should you leave this company, or is it a company that you should continue to stay with long term? This is our marital counseling for your
I don't think I've ever been on Thursday for a relationship Thursday. I guess I've been on the road, so I have not played this. This is going to be fun.
It's the anti-rapid fire. You know how we do rapid fire on Tuesdays, just the quick hitters, on short term. This is more long term. What do you think of the company? Why don't we start right here in the chat, and we're going to rock with US Steel X. And I'll take this one to start here. Daniel, Batman, I know why you love that company. It's been one we've talked about for years. It's on the dirty, sexy money list. It's a stock that you can do naked puts on. It's tried to find a bottom down here, but let's call it like it is. That stock is in a downtrend. It's been in a downtrend now for a couple of years. And as a matter of fact, it's had a terrible year this year. Cody, if you click on the Analyze tab and go to the fundamentals, I want to show some other, some things that you can look at if you're a Thinkorswim user, and pop in US Steel right here.
There you go.
If you've never come in here for longer term plays, there's some really, really good information. Number one, the description is usually a very good write-up about what the company does. And as a matter of fact, it will talk about where they're located, where they do business, all that kind of stuff. Keep coming down here and learning how to read some of these tables. Now, I'm not going to teach all fundamental analysis right now, but what I'm going to do is kind of highlight a few different areas that I pay attention to. EPS,
I was going to say real quick, I completely ignore this, and I think our students should too.
I don't care about the rankings, by the way.
I don't care about this one iota.
But I will tell you, I have gotten value out of going directly to the downloads and actually reading the report from the analyst. Because usually it's kind of like a college paper, Cody. Somebody had to do, their entire job was to write that up for investors to read the prospectus. Now their ranking, usually we make fun of it all the time for a reason, right? But there is good information if you do ever want to go and download those research items. There's some good ones, there's some good ones. As you come down through the data here, there's one number here I want to highlight, the PE ratio, okay? The PE ratio on US Steel is 3.78. Some people might think that's a good thing, Tim. It's not a good thing for this company because it's not growing. And the only reason why the PE ratio is coming down, Emily, is because the stock price is dropping.
Mm-hmm.
PE ratio alone without context doesn't tell you enough, okay? Stock has been an underperformer, and their EPS quarter over quarter for the whole year has been under pressure. One more thing I want to highlight here, Cody, keep coming down to the valuation highlights, okay? And down, down, down. There's usually, if you keep dropping, if it has it, not every one of these has it, you're going to find a table that tells you where they make their profitability. Right there. Boom. Okay. This company makes 77% of their revenue from US flat rolled steel. Okay. European flat rolled steel is 18%. So when I talk about this being European steel, yes, it's primarily a US company, but when a company's profitability, 20% of their margins, Emily, is on European goods and European markets, and the European economy has not been good for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's assuming that we're just waiting on an infrastructure deal for this company. That's not necessarily true. We're waiting on clarity on tariffs and trade between Europe and the US. We're waiting for economic indicators out of Europe to get better here. So relationship advice here on US Steel, Batman, my friend, my student, Man, it's a tough one because it does have some neutralizing characteristics. And this company, if it does break back to the upside, can fly. It's one I love from a credit perspective. I love the cash flow on it. Emily, what about you? Do you trade this one?
I have not traded US Steel in a while. So I have no emotional attachment to US Steel right now. So yeah.
Yeah. See, and by the way, one of my favorite things that maybe has ever happened in the halftime report, my buddy Chris Couch just called me a nerd.
I saw that. I saw it. I started laughing. It was right when you said the
gosh.
downloads part. He was like, nerd. He said, read the downloads. He's like, nerd.
Here's the thing. If you're a cash flow trader and you're willing to take on ownership and you understand the risk, I get it. But just be aware that this company has complexity in the current economics. There's no question. More complex than most people think, and I think you got to dive into your companies, So here's what I would do. Take from relationship advice, go to counseling, dig in, have somebody else look at both of you here and make sure you understand each other. Try to communicate a little bit more and don't just take it on face value. Just because it says US Steel does not mean it's just a US company that is sensitive on the US economy. All right. So is that enough of a rant? That was a soapbox.
I think that's good. I think that's some good advice there is understand your company. All right. Take some time to understand the other.
Shopify.
Right,
Cody, you get shop.
Oh, shop. Why don't we give it to Emily?
Emily, we'll give you shop.
Yeah, let's give Emily shop.
Ooh.
I don't shop.
Was that sexist?
I don't shop. Literally, my wife buys all my clothes. Actually, these two things I bought, and Marie helped me out with this one.
Yeah.
So
That's
I don't
it.
shop.
Oh boy.
I shop for stocks. I don't shop for physical items.
So
Had the
Daniel
same
is
phone for like 4
Daniel
years.
is double dipping because he's got US Steel and he's got shop. So are you cheating on US Steel with shop, or what's the deal?
Ooh.
If you were gonna keep one, I would keep shop and I would dump US Steel if that's where we're going with this. Shop looks beautiful. I mean, she's high price, she's got good value, which means you can do a lot. You can do a lot with her, right? And yeah, I like shop. If we're looking at this versus US Steel, because this is both from Daniel, I will definitely say stick with shop. She'll stick with you long term, and she'll do you a lot better than US Steel will.
Very good. I love it. Cody, Microsoft, you're up, young man.
All right, I will take Microsoft, and Microsoft is a darling. This is a company that you take home to your mom, and you introduce Microsoft to the family. Microsoft has treated you well. Microsoft will continue to treat you well.
That whole take her home to mom thing, I'm trying to I'm not so sure about that.
You never heard that? You never heard that phrase? It's a good enough company that you're willing to introduce it to your friends and family.
Fair enough. I like it. It's a beautiful company. It's had a juggernaut year, one of the leaders in the market.
If we're singing the Rick James song, she's a super freak. So is Shop a super freak and Microsoft is the girl you take home to mom?
Yes.
Like what?
Yes.
Oh goodness. All right.
I put AMD in the super freak stage as well.
Oh my God.
Two more here.
We should analyze these stocks by song. That's what we should.
I love it. Yeah, dude, that's a good idea. What song describes this company? That's not a bad idea. That's a game for a Wednesday, Cody. GWPH.
GWPH.
Or you could do it the opposite. What company do you think of when you hear this song? And we could just go through some music.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yep.
We'll do that. We'll do that next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Companies in a downtrend here. We're talking about GW Pharmaceuticals. It's another ADR as well. I don't know the stock that well. So I'm going to take the price action on its face here and say there's complexity, there's concern. I would dig into it, try to understand it. And really, from a relationship perspective, I think what you got to decide is, are you willing to ride through the rough times here? Are you willing to ride through some trouble and maybe some arguments with this company as it drops down Chart doesn't look great. You know, the pharmaceutical companies can be volatile, unpredictable. It's got some major support down there, about 90. I would need to dig into it more to give proper relationship advice. Maybe a counseling session, Emily. That's what I would say. Starbucks and Emily.
Now, Starbucks, I'm in a relationship with. So, you know, Starbucks is it's questionable at this point. It doesn't know whether they want to go up or down. It started to create a low base down there, and it gave us potential of maybe possibly going up on Friday, but now it's just kind of sitting at a range, and I don't know what to do with it. But I like her, so I'll be patient enough and keep her around. So I'm not going to do anything with Starbucks, but yeah, I like her, so she's staying.
You know, back on that last one real quick, Chris Couch says CBD pharma. That doesn't make sense from the perspective of the price action, because it does look like a lot of those pot stocks this year. That GWPH, Cody, I was listening to a farmer in Tennessee talk about how he just literally stopped raising cattle and started growing hemp to turn it into CBD oil, you know, for a company that he's doing manufacturing from. It's an interesting space. Obviously, if you've traveled, you've been around, whether you use CBD oil or not, it's a popular product. You know, it's a non-THC product, Cody, I believe. I know that the health considerations, there's a lot of mixed science on it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I could go on a tear for that, but we don't have the time for me to go on a tear. I will digress. But there is a lot of research behind CBD oils, the benefits behind it, even THC, the different toxins and things that come with the plant versus smoking versus cigarettes, and the relative risk behind the two of them. There's a lot there. I'm actually glad that it's taking its time coming to market, and versus like the vapes that just dumped on the market and then all the problems are being discovered afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything against it, honestly. Like I think it's a an avenue that could be taken. I don't think it's the cure-all, but there's no one cure-all for anything.
Interesting. Let's move back to the charts here. And there's a bunch I want to go through, and we are up against the clock here. So we're going to go a little bit quicker. I'm going to take a bunch of them in a rapid fire long-term style here, Cody. Give me a look at AT&T. You ain't doing anything different. If you've been in a marriage with AT&T, you're staying. All right. It's a dividend payer. It's a steady Eddie stock in that regard. It's had a nice year. You know, I don't see anything there to add to it. AMD.
That's a super freak.
Yeah. There's no doubt. High volume, high liquidity. It's had a huge move.
This is the boyfriend you bring home with the tats all over the body, and mom's going, "What the hell?"
Oh, I love it.
This is the girl from Superbad that's like, "Why are you so obsessed with me?"
Disney. So do you think we could start a Disney Plus and chill kind of phrase?
No,
here?
No.
No. Oh my God. You need to go see The Great Father Stockaducci. You need to repent for that.
He needs soap in his mouth for saying that.
Oh, it's a wonderful stock. And
Disney's a take home to mom. Disney, you let Disney watch your kids.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think it's even a take home to mom. You've probably been married to Disney for 2 or 3 decades, and now you're finding a second win. This is let's re-up our vows. Let's get going, and let's go out there and even fall in love again.
Let's upgrade the ring. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. The house, we're going to start traveling.
I'm with you. All right, I'm with you. Morgan Stanley from Susan, MS.
Oh,
no.
MS. There we go.
I mean, if you're in a relationship with a broker like this, you know it's bringing home the bacon. These companies are consistently profitable year over year over year over year. It's going to be up and down with the cyclical nature of financials and brokerage houses in general, but you're probably not doing anything different there. Abel brings up VIPS here. And if you haven't dumped VIPS by now, then you probably are going to continue to ride through the volatility, because, man, it would have shaken almost anybody loose last year, you know. Most people would have gotten rid of this one when it was in that precipitous downtrend from 10 all the way to 4. but now it's starting to show some life again here. If you're in a relationship with VIPs, expect some craziness, right?
Reach out to Franco and see if he's still in this.
VIPs is that boyfriend that cheated on you and then he got good again and then he's just about to cheat on you again. So you better be careful.
Yeah, and I may not get to all of them here, guys, May and John and everybody, but I do want to talk about one more here from Jesus Guzman, PCG. Whew, I got to tell you, for me, it would have been divorce papers a long time ago. And the second some of those news headlines hit, that I've been very public about this one. It is a complete stay away in many, many regards. I know they settled a lawsuit, or at least there was some news about them settling a lawsuit with those fire victims. I just can't get behind this company. I don't like personally going after longer term ideas where it's about trying to rebuild an old flame or whatever it is. Sometimes the best thing to do, Emily, is just cut the cord and move on, right?
Yeah. Gotta cut it. Find somebody new. It's time to start seeing other people.
Yeah, it might be on that one. Guys, fun show as always. Cody, we're going to be back tomorrow. I expect more action in the market, by the way, with the jobs report in the morning, heading into a weekend. I do think we'll get a little volatility. Markets are on a doji. That's where we are right now. One quick note here, Cody, and I need you to open it up, and I just want to talk about it for 30 seconds. The Cyber Monday sale, which is 3 days ago, we had a deadline on that for tomorrow. Okay. And I'll drop it in the Zoom chat as well as YouTube, Cody.
Appreciate
real
that.
quick.
Pulling it up.
See you, Chris. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you, Mohammed. Thanks, everybody. Just a real simple note. If you're watching our channel for the first time, just subscribe, click the bell, and do a 15-day trial. If you are a veteran of our community and you know you're going to keep a pro membership, you've got a discount opportunity here, and you've got about a 1-day window on it. It does go away tomorrow. We'll go back to our regular pricing. And so just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. The annual, in my opinion, is an easy no-brainer, Cody. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's save money with the discount here. And then don't worry about it. You can make that. You can make that in either one or a handful of weekend scouting reports. Yeah, that's right. Emily, great job today, young lady. I appreciate it. When's the next Women in Trading event, by the way?
I'm thinking of putting one on for next Friday. So I'll get with Mark on that and we'll put it up on the schedule and we'll do one next Friday.
Fantastic. I love the last one you did. I caught the recording. I've tried not to attend live. I don't like to sneak in there. Hey, you know me. I've got to keep an eye on everything that's going on out there. Yeah. But
Director of Operations does need to see.
I mean, here's the thing. It's a really cool thing to let you have that and really build that community. I'm really, really proud of it, quite frankly. Keep working on it. If it is next Friday, we'll put an announcement in the daily email over the weekend. Guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We're out.